Welcome to Voice with Vielka, the podcast dedicated to the ongoing quest for finding how to best teach kids to sing with confidence. I'm your host, Vielka, and I'll share my experiences as a performer, educator, founder, and mother for the last 20 years here in the heart of New York City. Thank you for joining me as I share with you the amazing people, practices, and talking points to help us grow together as singers, educators, entrepreneurs, and human beings. Life has a funny way of teaching you to expect the unexpected. As a classically trained singer who spent decades nurturing healthy technique in the tiniest vocal athletes, even my closest friends might be surprised to find me occasionally posted up near the circle pit at a prog metal show. Thanks to my husband's love of intense music, I discovered that voice, this voice that stopped me cold. A voice that's instantly recognizable, impossibly moving, and technically astonishing. It's a voice that is powerful and delicate, sensuous and brutal, raw and refined. The perfect dichotomy of tone and technique, and it speaks straight to my soul. Today's guest is a visionary Norwegian artist, co-founder, lead vocalist, and keyboardist of Leprous, shaping the band's distinctive sound since the early 2000s. His solo debut, 16, in 2023, explored deeply personal transformation, while Melodies of Atonement in 2024 pushed new sonic boundaries. And this fall, he's releasing An Evening of Atonement, a highly anticipated live album that captures the full force of his expressive power. He's here with us today to talk voice, artistry, and emotional expression at the highest level. Please welcome the extraordinary Einar Solberg. Einar, thank you so much for spending this time here with me today. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all the kind words, even though they're way too big for a humble Norwegian. Like we don't give each other that big compliments here in Norway.
Well, then I'm glad that you're getting a chance to get it from a very direct New Yorker, because you should be getting these words. And yeah, it's really sincere, really true. Like
Thank you.
yeah, your voice. I've been telling my friends as I've been getting hyped up for this interview, I'm like, this is like my Elvis. Like this is talking to you. Like your voice is like the ultimate voice crush for me. And I think that's because you have this really incredible ability to control and express feelings in your voice in a way that I really can't think of anyone else who does it like you. I mean, it's just so rare and so authentic. So I'm really psyched to have this conversation and kind of dig in and learn
Thank
more
you.
about you and how this came to be.
Thank you.
Let's start for a second, just for those people who are currently asking themselves, what is prog metal? Like, what's that even mean? And your own feelings around that classification, whether you like that or not.
Yeah, it's usually a really annoying show of music where people wants to show everything they can within a certain amount of way too many minutes, usually. Completely, most of it completely stripped of emotion. But yeah, we are kind of taking a few elements from that scene, and now we're stuck in that scene forever. So yeah, I do like a few, but I don't know, I don't like when things are too shreddy. But the prog metal is usually very like lots of guitar solos, weird time signatures, and way too calculated music for my taste. A lot of it. Not the answer you were expecting, right?
You know what? I actually love this answer, and I don't want to insult the metal, fans, but
No, I
I
would love
think,
to.
but I think I think it's why, to be honest, because my husband, he's really the fan. Like I was suggesting, he's really the metal fan, and he
Mm.
has on music all the time, literally. And I only pay attention to certain ones, and you are the best by far.
Thank you.
But I think it's what you're getting at here about the emotionality. Like it's one thing to go up on stage and be like technically, virtuosic and showing
Yeah,
off, and
yeah.
I think it actually turns me off.
Yeah, same. If I want to get impressed, I'll go and watch like a sports event or something, like like I don't go to a concert, or like I don't listen to music to be impressed. I listen to music to feel something, and that's kind of my. And then every like any prog element there is kind of, I guess, some sort of flavor, that small flavor, small spice that we add to the overall song structure, because to us it's it should be about songwriting, most of all songwriting and emotions. And I think you were talking about control before, and I think the best way of being in control is giving up control. And not like and I think that's the problem. People try a bit too hard to like stay in control. Like, I don't care before I go. So I don't care if I make mistakes, not at all. I used to when I was younger. I was very worried about, oh, I need to go on my best. Or imagine if people are not like, if imagine if I'm not on my best and people will think it's bad or this and that and blah blah. Blah, what if and what if? And it's just like now I just life is too short to bother. Like there's going to be people that hate what I do. There's going to be people that love what I do, and nothing I can do can really change it. And that was very liberating for me to just like, it's just, I'm just going to go with the flow and adjust to whatever the vibe of the day is in a sense. So it's like, so yeah, that was very eye-opening for me for a few years ago. I don't know if I was even close to answering your question here, but
Yeah, no, it's all good. And yeah, it really resonates for me because I think, well, first off, easier said than done to just like show up and not care. I mean, I think that that shows like a level of maturity that,
I'm not sure not care is the right word, because that
yeah,
seems a bit like whatever. It's not the approach, but just like not predict, I guess. None of us have succeeded in fully successfully predicting the future so far. Many has tried, but none has fully fully succeeded. And so I don't try to do that. So I just go, and I'm very like I'm very like usually in a good place when I go on stage, but I don't try to predict whether it's going to be an amazing or a bad, or like I don't try. I just go on stage, and then I will figure out what kind of show it will be. So to have that sort of calmness to me is essential for a vocalist. If you try too hard, it doesn't sound good, in my opinion. It sounds like someone who has too much to prove. Um, and yeah.
it makes me think about kind of the ego, right? And whether
Mhm.
you're showing up in that ego and trying to control and make it a certain something. And
Yeah.
to me, my personal ultimate goal would be like this feeling of having something move through me. You
Mhm.
know, like I'm a conduit to help reach something bigger than myself.
Mhm.
And I think that when I hear you talk about kind of this giving up of control and kind of turning over and the level of emotion and expressivity, I don't know.
Mhm.
Does that make sense for you?
Yeah,
Is that what feels like?
100%. Yeah, yeah, 100%. And of course, like emotion is interesting because emotion is uncontrollable quite to a big degree. Yeah, you can learn to kind of not go into each one of them deeply, but you cannot really control whatever shows up, control how much you go into them to a certain degree. Not fully always, like we will all be overwhelmed at certain times and certain points, but it's, to me it's more about like so emotion is weird. Like I cannot force an emotion on any show. I cannot force feeling emotional about a song. Like yeah, sometimes I will stand on stage and think about like what I'm gonna eat after the show, and I will not like so yeah, like these things happen, when I sing our song The Price for time number 756, then it's still like, it's not like I'm deeply moved anymore by that. Like I cannot feel that same emotion again and again and again and again and again. It doesn't work like that.
Mm,
Emotions doesn't work like that. So once you play enough, then it's more about whatever you can manage to make others feel rather than what you feel yourself. And that doesn't make it an act, but it makes it a performance. Like it's not an act. Like I'm in it and I do my thing. And some songs I feel it very strongly, and the newer the songs are, the more I feel it in a way, and the older they become, the more it just becomes routine in a sense. But that should not be visible to anyone in the audience. I've seen people crying while I've been thinking, oh, how long is it left of this show now? Like, like, so.
But I think what you're saying though is that it sounds like you've almost choreographed the emotions to a certain degree where even though it's maybe, I don't want to say autopilot, but you're not always going to be
No,
100% present with it, but that
no.
it still is enough where it moves the audience. And do you
Yeah,
feel like that energy from the audience? What's that like for you?
it's very important, but it shouldn't be important for the performance. And so like, and that's what we rehearse for. We rehearse for the bad shows because sometimes the audience is I hate to say it, but it's not going to be the same level of excitement shown from people if we play in New York City than if we play in Chile, for example. So just like you're like when we come to these super spoiled cities that get like 1,000 concerts every day, it's a bit different than if we go to. This is the first time I get to see Leprous, and it's just like it's
Wow.
crazy. So
Yeah.
and same like is Scandinavians are not like super expressive during shows either, and but it's not about like who's the loudest or just like it's just more about facial expressions, and I can see like okay, this means a lot to that person, and or like if I can see that if people are in it, so like I feed off that a lot. And I used to, when I was younger, to get very provoked if people were like coming to the first row and seemed like nothing was moving them or something. But now it's just like, okay, now it's like that's out of my control. Like I cannot, they will think what they will think, and like I just need to.
Focusing on what's within your control, what's
Yeah,
not, and yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And most things are without my control. I've come to realize. Uh,
Yeah, life is improv, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I kind of
Yeah.
like that a bit too. Like I don't like there is a lot of people who lean towards order, and there's more people who lean towards chaos, and I'm definitely the second category. I thrive more in unpredictability and chaos than in order. Of course, I need to balance in a certain amount of order too as well to be happy, more than falls natural to me. If I think like I don't know if people would have been like fascinated, impressed, or super disappointed if they knew how I'm working and how I'm writing, and it's just like a lot of stuff is just like yeah, I wrote these vocal lines just uh, 10 hours before I went to studio. Like it's like I think people think that I sit like this creative mastermind, like calculating everything. Oh, I need to do it like this and that. Like is the like kind of trying to be like the Albert Einstein of music, like it's not like that at all. I'm just very random in the way that I work. Super random. Like everything I do is just a bit like just do something, and then if I don't like it, I do something else, and just like go on. I don't get married to any idea that I have until I'm feel it. And I can feel it after 5 minutes, or I can feel it after 5 months. You never know.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, and it does make me wonder, and I want to, explore like where did it come from? Because I feel like maybe the randomness isn't as random, right? Like
No,
that that's
no.
that's coming it's coming from this
A,
whole
a lot of experience and
background.
confidence. Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
does. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, like, take us back for a second. I'm so curious. Like, when did you start finding your voice, singing? Yeah, what did that look like?
When I was 15, I started singing. Like the first thing I ever did on a stage was a kind of Beatles musical that we did when I was 15, I think. And we had like I think you could maybe call it junior high or something. Like that's before high school, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, when I was there, that's when like when I did it like 15 years, I think, and I was singing like "Come Together" and a few other songs like, and I was just like felt really okay. This falls quite natural to me. Of course, my mother is a vocal coach, but I always thought what she did was the most lame thing in the universe. Like singing classical music. I couldn't think of anything less cool than that when I was younger. I was into Cypress Hill and Dr. Dre and Wu-Tang Clan and like 90s gangster rap, like that was my thing. And whatever she did was just like, oh, it was like, what is this? So bad. Like I couldn't stand it. And I think it was like might have been one of my least favorite genres of music when I was younger. When I was so so I was not into it. Like so I wasn't kind of influenced by her in the early days at all. So and then I started the yeah, sorry.
Okay, question though. Were you
Hmm.
growing up like listening to her like give lessons,
Yeah.
or I mean
Yeah,
this was
and
in the
being
water?
insanely embarrassed by her every time she opened her mouth for to sing. Like, I was just like, "Oh, your mother is an opera singer." I was just like, "Oh, come on, this is like so embarrassing." Like, but that was just because like kids are bit stupid like that sometimes. Like, they like now I know, like, and now I appreciate classical music a lot, and I think classical is maybe even more instrumental classical music rather than vocal driven, but still like classical music is might be the type of music that I listen most to these days. So it's just like I still like 90s gangster rap though, but two pack and like that kind of stuff. But yeah, I have a wide horizon. But anyway, so and then I started singing. I did a show with this musical thing where everybody had to participate. And I felt right away, okay, this I'm quite decent at this. Uh, and and then I started quite soon after we started like this sort of cover band, like kind of punk rock, playing whatever we could. So we were playing like Sex Pistols and Rage Against the Machine and Nirvana and like anything that was kind of a bit easy to play and had a lot of attitude, and like that worked very well with my with my current testosterone level at that moment. So I started there completely untrained, just like jumping around and bouncing around on stage from like I didn't have like 1 inch of shyness from the first time I was on stage. So it was just like completely went crazy and like on the first time and we started playing and I realized, am I finding a sort of direction in my life now? And then I was starting to realize, okay, this is the first time I actually do something that I really feel super excited about doing, and I feel that I'm doing better than the average person. And then I started getting more and more and more and more into it, and I started taking lessons with my mother suddenly, and then I started, yeah, getting super into music in general. And since then, I had really no plan B, honestly. Since then, I was just like, this is what I want to do. I don't care if I need to work on the side, but this is what I want to do.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah,
Tell me about lessons with your mom.
they were good. Like she's a really good teacher. She's been being a vocal coach for so many years, and she still is at the age of 75. She's teaching youth and honestly, I think on a lot of things she's a better vocal coach than me because she has much more patience than I have. Patience is not really my main skill in life, and I'm good with the more advanced students, but whenever there is like beginners, it's like, yeah, okay, I've tried to explain for 2 hours now how to use the diaphragm and there's like zero progress. I don't know how to tell it to you in another way. It's just like I can just give up, just like I understood it faster. Come on, understand it faster, you too. Like it kind of like very bad. Honestly, I'm not like that though. That's all voices in my head saying it. I'm actually very soft with people, but I'm just like I just like it costs a lot for me if people don't understand fast enough. Uh,
Understood. Yeah, I mean, teaching is definitely a different skill, and
yeah,
some require more patience than others. So there's a
yeah,
lot
they do,
there.
they do. Yeah.
I'm dying to just kind of get into like vocal nerd stuff with you, and I'm curious, like, how do you think about, people use different terminology or no terms, and I wasn't sure with your background what to expect, but I'm curious, how do you describe your voice or ways of using your voice?
So I'm surprisingly enough a baritone. Many people think that I'm tenor, but as you can hear when I speak, I'm not a tenor. I have like a medium voice, but I always had a big range. I could always sing high and had never any problems with that since I was like like when I was a youth, I was just like secretly sitting in my room and singing along to all the female songs without any problems and stuff. And I was like in my head voice, I think. So my
Yeah.
head voice has always been like a kind of a easy part of my voice to work with. So to describe my vocal style, I like to be very clear in whatever direction I go in a sense. Like I don't like mixed voice, for example. Because to me it's like, yeah, it's neither this or that. I would rather do a strong head voice rather than a mixed voice because it has a bit more soul and personality. Like I feel if I do mixed voice, I sound like just as vocalist from like one of the side roles of people of the singer in the Broadway musical. You know, like not the main role, but like one of the side roles. So. So,
I
so
see what
it's
you
just
mean. Yeah.
you can achieve, you can sing a note with that, but it's just like I would rather do it with full belting, with a full, quite strong head voice, if I want to achieve. So like I don't like. I'm not really a person who likes a lot of in-betweens. I like to be a bit clear with every expression that I go to. Either I sing super quiet, so soft that it's like you can barely hear me if you sit next to me, or I sing so loud that it's like your eardrums will break if you sit next to me. So it's like it's a bit like I like those extremes a bit as a vocalist, and I love. I think maybe my favorite thing is to sing quiet, uh,
Mm.
because that lives like a whole other like fragility and emotion that like, and it's very pleasant to listen to when it's fragile, but with enough support. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, in my opening like description of your voice, I really used these extremes. And I think it's one of
Hmm.
the things I just adore about how you sing is that it's so rare for me to hear such extreme examples side by side, just flipping within a millisecond from one to the other. And
Hmm.
what you're talking about with this really singing quietly, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like, especially for a male voice, to sing quietly and to have a quiet head voice, I mean, it really takes a lot in from my perspective, it takes a lot to even put that kind of sound out there. And it's just, melts me. Like, it's just
Thank
incredible.
you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It took like a while into my career before I started properly kind of diving into that for real, like I think it started around our Melina album where I really went deep into that style of just like how much more can I make it even more fragile? Can I make it more like airy and fragile and just like and then I started doing that a lot. Like that part of my voice, like partly gets erased a bit when I go on tour and I sing a lot of shows in a row. So like I try to stay like I try to stay away from my maximum and my minimum when I'm on tour. Uh, and anyway, in a live context, it's not like you're not gonna hear a big difference if I'm on the first or second gear or if I'm on the like the fifth or sixth, for example, or like it doesn't make a massive difference. So live is a bit more compromised in the sense that I go a bit more towards the middle rather than what I do in studio. That's why I'm always dying now in the studio because I had like 3 chest voice days in a row, like full chest voice belting power days, and like at the end of one of them, I was just like I've been singing like one choir, but that had like countless of dubs because it was gonna sound like this big choir part. And I was just like standing for 30 minutes straight without any break, just singing like with full belting and super high range. And in the end, I was just like, and I can endure quite a lot of things, and I'm not very fragile as a person or a vocalist, but but in the end of that, I was like, okay, this is the closest I've ever been to having to like vomit in the studio. Like it was just
Oh
like
my God.
really, 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 really. Like just like I was just like oh like getting dizzy, and so it's not I wouldn't recommend that to but I was the only choice I had in this particular situation.
Yeah, that sounds like powerlifting, or, it's like that's super
Yeah,
intense.
it
Yeah.
is. It was very intense. Yeah.
Maybe tell us a little bit about kind of a day in your life when, I'm curious about a couple of things. I guess, maybe starting with where you've been this week in the studio and what that looks like when you're recording, and then what it's like for you when you're out on the road and touring.
Hmm.
And how do you
Hmm.
take care of your voice? Are there things that you do that's just part of your like daily vocal
Hmm.
habits? I mean,
Hmm.
there's so much, and I think it's such a physical whole body act that
Hmm.
like you're saying that you're ready to vomit. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
can't 30 minutes
yeah.
of that. That's like, wow.
But that was an extreme that I don't
Yeah.
normally do. But so like in the studio, I'm very chill. Like I work with a guy that I've worked with for since 2015. Like we worked together a long time. He's one of my best friends. Since like having an amazing studio in Stockholm in Sweden, and or like it turned into one of my best friends. We spend so much time together, so we just have this kind of intuitive connection that we don't even need to say what, like we just like get. Okay, we agree on pretty much everything, and so I'm super relaxed there and very intuitive, like change things last minute, throwing away like a whole chorus that I made spend a lot of time with the day before, because I come home and say, I think I can do better, and then I go back and do it. Or and it's like I can be anything from super fast, super chill to insanely like slow and perfectionistic. Or I hate the word perfectionistic, because to me perfection doesn't exist within music, but because it's too subjective for it. But so yeah, I wake up, go in the studio, like usually he does a little bit of edits and stuff in the morning so that I can get a bit of, I don't like to sing first thing I do in the morning, and then warm up a bit, and then I start first with the first day in the studio is always like all the quiet parts, and then I do that for a while, and it's super chill and easy and relaxing, and like doesn't cost me a lot of energy. It's more just emotion and vibes, and I do that for a while, and then starts the hard work, which is like the belting and chest voice. And I don't do song by song. I do like dynamics by dynamics. So
Wow, that's
now we'll do.
fascinating. So you'll take
Mm,
several different songs that are
yeah,
singing in
yeah,
that way.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, I would never have guessed that. That's really
yeah,
interesting. But it
yeah,
makes
because
sense
then
in
you can.
terms of warming up your voice and planning your
Yeah,
day.
more like you can last much longer in the studio like that,
Yeah.
or that sense, like the most fragile part of your voice is going to be a bit compromised once you start with the chest voice stuff,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the reason. So it's just like, okay, let's get it over with when my my voice is like a studio virgin or whatever. Like Norwegians trying to make sense in English. It's like yeah, like but yeah, once it's like I get into the studio and I like my voice is completely clear, uh then I do all that stuff that benefits from my voice being like that, and then in the end, after I'm done with everything, I'm saving a few songs that are like, here I want this raspiness and this broken voice a bit on this song. uh so I kind of plan that part a bit, and that's something that I learning by doing over many years, and just like, oh, okay, I broke my voice on day two, need to have a break for 2 days. What do we do? Do we pay for the studio that we booked in those days? What do we do? Like, so it's just like carefully planning things a bit, which is normally not in my nature. But
When you're doing studio days, like, is there a typical amount of hours and days that you plan
yeah,
for?
I can go for a long time. Like endurance is something that I've learned better and better over the years, and then I think it will get better until the point that I get too old, and then I will get worse again. But hopefully it's gonna stay for a few more years, getting better, and then before it turns around. But yeah, I would say we work quite often 10-hour days, the singing, but it's like. Depends, like very often he's like doing a lot of things in between, so I get some breaks, and but very often like I kind of need the breaks to prepare the next part a bit, but now I didn't get to do that, so it's more like
Yeah. And are you sharing what you've been doing this week in the studio?
sharing
Like what you're
yeah.
working on?
Oh yeah, 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 I'm working on my solo album, which is gonna be like everything that is me on steroids. And it's way like over the years, Leprous has started showing more and more kind of restraint. Like it's we like to have a lot of air in our music, and at least compared to other bands in the prog world, there is like our arrangements are a bit like less packed with with stuff. Like it's more room for it has more room to breathe. But this new project that I'm going, it's like super cinematic. So I have booked like the main orchestra in Norway, a symphonic orchestra that I have together. So it's like that's like a prog metal soundtrack, prog metal basically, but more quiet and soft than Leprous, and also way more heavy than Leprous at the same time. So it's just like it's pull the extremes out even more in that this is more even more emotionally driven. Songs has weirder structures and makes a bit less sense in it. Like it's not some of them have a bit more of this pop structure that we like to work within with Leprous, like a verse chorus style. But yeah, in general, it's a more challenging album. So it's like a lot of people like to go more straightforward and commercial on their solo project, but I kind of gone a bit in the other direction. So
Well, sounds like you're being very true to your nature, and that you're going to have a lot of raving fans. Yeah, with it.
let's see,
So
let's
I'm
see how.
excited for you. Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds like it's going to be incredible.
thank you.
I don't want to keep you too much longer on this, but maybe give us a couple of things that you do just as a vocalist to stay healthy and in best voice while you're on the road.
This is a thing that a lot of vocalists they exaggerate a lot, and the problem like they walk around like with a scarf and a teacup and like ginger and honey and think that it makes any difference, and it may be some minor difference, nothing big, it's like placebo most of it. But most of all of this like, "Oh, I cannot talk today and I need to stay quiet today," it's like all that stuff is just like it annoys me. It's just like it puts a lot of pressure on the situation. It doesn't really like, yeah, of course you don't need to sit and scream all night long and drink until the morning. Of course you can take, I'm trained a lot when I'm on tour. I work out, I run, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, never did any of these things. So I'm kind of like I'm a straight edge by coincidence. Like I like in a way like I don't like to put myself in these labels, but I never thought of myself as a straight edge. But I think like I don't I never was intoxicated by anything in my life. So it's just like that's I guess one positive thing. And I go to the gym a lot and I run a lot. So that's one thing I do a lot on tour, and that helps. And then other thing that I do is build stamina in my voice. 2 to 3 to 4, like usually not 4. So I would say ideally 3 weeks. 1 week is better than nothing. But like if I can do 3 weeks, that's amazing. And that's basically building stamina in my voice so that I can handle so my voice is used to taking a beating before it gets on tour. It's like building up for a marathon or whatever, because uh, a tour is like kind of the marathon of the musicians, basically, of the singers. And I sing through the entire set, full power, every second day for 3 weeks. And then I feel like, yeah, in the first like around 60% into the set, like airflow starts dropping, like my stamina starts dropping, and it's good in the beginning, and then in the end I almost don't have enough air for the last songs. And then I feel it gradually gets better and better and better for each time I do it. And when I reach the first show, then like my voice is already strong and can handle all these like variables that people like think affects their voice so much. So just like, yeah, I just like my voice is way too strong at that point to be bothered by like, yeah, if I talk normally through the day, it makes no difference. So I think what a lot of vocalists do, which is a problem, is like they don't think enough about the psychology behind singing. And singing psychology is maybe one of my main subjects as a singer. And because it's a lot of singers, they're just like they're way too zoomed in or way too much in their bubble, and too much self-pity, and like a lot of vocalists has a self-absorbed nature, myself included, but I kind of had to learn to step out of that bubble and see it and work with it and change it in a way, like, and just seeing like, oh, it's just like, it's fine if you just like don't think about and try to plan the show and the whole day. Oh, how it's gonna go, I need to do this and that, and tea, ginger, honey, blowing into the tube, like steam, like all this stuff is just like, it puts a lot of pressure on the situation psychologically, because it's like, yeah, you can do those things fine. It definitely doesn't hurt by itself. It helps a bit, I would say. Once your voice gets broken, there is nothing that really helps properly except changing your attitude. Changing your attitude to stop comparing yourself with how you are at your best and start working with the cards you've been dealt for that day, and try to deliver a good show with that in mind. Like, okay, I tried. I cannot actually reach those notes today, but I will try like this and that, and stay undramatic. And that's like kind of hard for vocalists, because like it's in our job description to be dramatic, and most vocalists that I know are drama queens. So yeah, but we are, and it's definitely not the least dramatic person in the band ever. Like, I've never seen a band where the vocalist was the least dramatic person in the band. Like,
Never.
no. And that's it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, at some point I got to the point where I got a bit tired of it, like, just like, oh, like all the whining, and just like, oh, come on, just like, you're here doing what you love, just do it as good as you can. And then I will have whiny days too, but as long as I'm aware of it, and then I change it the next day, and I change the vibe, and I do it better the next day. So it's just like, I'm not gonna ever be perfect in that, but it's just like the psychology behind singing, and to be okay with making mistakes, okay to make adjustments, okay to adjust to whatever voice you have that day. That's the key to be a good live singer. And not all of these vocal zone things that people eat, and just like, is it like placebo, all of it.
I'm just giggling so much because, I mean, I went to music conservatory, right? So
Yeah.
it's especially at a young age, you just
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the hallways are just littered with divas, and and just everything you said makes me laugh because
but it is, I mean, like
and I think at the end of the day, you're right. Like, it's like, this is my voice. It's the same voice that you use for speaking with every day. You're like, you did the thing that's logical, which is you're building stamina. You're treating it like a muscle. You're building stamina. You're thinking about it like a vocal marathon, and therefore you're ready. And guess what? People get injured or have things that are unexpected that come up during a marathon, and you deal with it and you keep going. So and that your attitude is like very much part of the ensemble of the band, which I think is also something that I really appreciate when I watch you, is that it seems like a really cohesive ensemble, whereas a lot of times I feel like the lead singer, I mean, even though I don't know anything about the band, they're kind of giving off vibes like, it's me plus the others back here.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not our case at all.
No.
Like, we have some other especially our drummer is a very profile drummer as well. So it's just like, so it's like Leprous is very much about it's a quite vocally driven band, but it's we all have a very important role to make Leprous, to say it like that. What I wanted to say was something you said about the marathon thing, and not like when you cannot talk at all the same day as you. It's the same as saying that I'm running a marathon today, so I cannot walk. So I need to be pulled in a wheelchair to the marathon to just like
Oh my God, I'm never gonna forget that image. That is so good.
yeah, but it's the same. It's the same,
and it's
in my
true.
opinion.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm never going to forget that. That it really is what it's like.
Yeah,
Yeah. I appreciate that you're kind of like very practical about it and grounded.
yeah.
Yeah.
Learned a big part of my life, emotionally driven person. Learned by all my mistakes, and so how miserable all of that made me if I just like went into every single emotion. So I became way more pragmatic over the years, and I yeah. So I was never the most dramatic vocalist, but I had some days when it just sort of like, and it still happens on occasion. I have weak moments too, but then I get back and like I have an ideal at least that I work towards, that I want to be, and I don't always succeed being that, but yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess, as we go to kind of wrap up, is there anything that you would want to tell maybe like young singers who are starting out, maybe finding their voices,
Mhm.
or the teachers who are helping be the guides? Like
Mhm.
anything that you're like
Yeah.
kind of
So
speaks to you?
So for the students, I would say don't fear mistakes, chase them and figure them out. When you fear mistakes, you will avoid them and you will just kind of like never go to the core of the problem. Look at mistakes with curiosity, not with aversion, and that's like one of the main things. Like once you start using them as a tool instead of something you're scared of, it's very like the learning curve goes like crazy. So yeah, every time I warm up for a show, search for the weakest part of my voice that day. Sounds terrible. Like people always think, "Oh, are you going to be able to sing today?" Yeah, don't worry. I'm just finding the most problematic parts of my voice and either planning to work around it if my voice doesn't allow me to do it that day, or to just be able to kind of work it out, like and then manage to do it properly. So yeah, don't fear mistakes. That's one of the main mistakes, because singers are very scared of making mistakes. We have a lot of mental barriers, and fear of mistakes is one of the main one. And to be a good vocalist, you need to be a confident vocalist. And to be a confident vocalist, you need to don't take life so serious, and like just like and just be fine with so yeah, so that's for the students, and be patient. It takes time to build a character and your thing, like yeah.
Oh, I
Mm,
love that. Well, I think that's a
mm,
perfect segue to take a break, say thank you for being on the podcast, and then for me to
okay.
prepare for a voice lesson with you. I will
Yeah,
be chanting that mantra of just embrace the mistakes and go for
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
And the
do it.
weak parts,
Yeah.
exploring the weak parts. I think that's
Mhm.
especially cool because I think, especially as a singer, like we want to just show off the strengths and just do more of
Mhm.
that, when really what you're saying is take the time to explore how it's
Mm,
feeling and
yeah,
how you're going to
yeah,
navigate it.
but
Yeah.
but 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 yeah, do show off the strengths during a performance, not a rehearsal.
Yeah.
Mm,
Oh,
that's
love
the
that
difference.
distinction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
so good.
yeah.
All right. Thanks again, Einar, for being on
Thank
the
you.
podcast. I am just tickled pink and yeah, so happy. So I'm gonna press pause here and maybe we'll take 5 and then do a lesson. Yeah?
Yeah, all right, cool.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for joining me for this podcast. To learn more about my step-by-step approach to voice education, where I've consolidated 30 years of vocal study into 4 words even a 3-year-old can do, just go to www.vielka.com. That's Vielka.com. Happy singing.